Welcome back to Lafayette Lifestyle. We have a special guest for you, Mayor Ken Ritter. Ken has been in City Council since 2011 and got elected mayor in 2015 and has been leading the city of Youngsville ever since. And Ken, thanks so much for joining us, man.
No, thank you, Robbie. I appreciate the opportunity.
So Youngsville has quadrupled in size in the last 20 years. We've got some stats that are making predictions that Youngsville will be up to 44,000 residents here in the city. And it's been Youngsville's been one of the fastest growing cities in the state multiple times over those years, and you've been leading the charge.
When you think about those numbers, I mean, they're pretty daunting. I think one of the things that, two things come to mind. First of all is we've really tried to shift the conversation and be more driven on quality and not so much quantity. And what I've realized is that the two things are the different quantity and quantity don't have to necessarily be mutually exclusive, but if given the choice, I'd certainly would prefer it to be about quality. Growth is important, certainly, but the manner in which we're growing is more important. Making sure that our infrastructure is kept up is of highest priority. The other thing is, growth is amazing. I mean, it's a privilege to be part of it. But one of the things we have to do as a region and as a state really is how to figure out how to bring people here from outside of the state into our area and not just have people from within the state moving to Lafayette Parish.
So speaking of that, if people are coming in from out of the state, don't know anything about Youngsville, what would you say about the community of Youngsville?
Oh, Youngsville is a phenomenal place to live, to work, to go to school, to open a business and to just succeed. What I would want people to know about Youngsville is that we have a very high emphasis on quality of life. People that move to Youngsville, usually it's for one of these factors. What I hear is great education system. We have 3 high schools here in Youngsville that are all excellent. We have incredible middle elementary schools. Quality of education is top notch. Also, our emphasis on recreation. One of the things that's unique about Youngsville is the citizens of Youngsville decided to make that through a dedicated sales tax an important priority for the way we do business and the way we govern our city. So recreation, green space, parks and rec is very important. Our crime rate is very low. We're blessed to have a great police department that's staying out front and visible. So low crime, quality of life, great schools, emphasis on parks and rec. And I can go on, but those are generally the common denominators that we hear about why people are choosing to live in Youngsville.
You talk about parks and rec and recreation and all that fun stuff. Just recently, ESPN videoed the Conference USA Volleyball Championship on what used to be a sugarcane field. Like, how crazy is that? It's now the sports complex that everybody else knows and loves. And volleyball is just a small part of the things that are coming on through there.
Robbie, I want everyone in Youngsville to realize how great of a facility the Youngsville Sports Complex is. This year, as of about mid-April, we were privileged to host 6 collegiate tournaments this year alone, spanning 3 different sports: men's tennis, women's softball, and women's beach volleyball. So very prideful moment to be able to see ESPN streaming from right here in Youngsville. What people should know about it is, even if you're not playing in the recreational programming for adults, for kids, there's something there for everybody. And what I mean by that is the economic impact alone for the benefit of our restaurants, the community, the shopping at large, to be able to host collegiate play is something that I'm certainly proud of. The leadership at our sports complex, the men and women that do that job and do it well, extremely prideful of. And even if this is what I told the team. I said, even if we don't have a repeat year where we're hosting this many college events, I'm okay with that for a couple of reasons. One, we built the sports complex for the benefit of our community, to have a place for recreational programming to excel, to have a quality places to teach your 3-year-old the fundamentals of t-ball and baseball. But if we, don't have another tournament of that size, it's very cool that we're able to compete at that level.
Man, that's a cherry on top of the ice cream sundae to have that participation at the collegiate level. Like you said, you did it for the kids moving up. Yeah. This is just a wonderful bonus
of it, if you would say. Yeah, it's been wonderful. I mean, the sports complex, thousands of kids every year that are benefiting from. We're in baseball season right now, so t-ball, softball, baseball has about 1,600 kids in it. Soccer, basketball, each north of 1,000. It's a tremendous asset for our community, and it continues to pay dividends with travel ball tournaments on the weekends. We'll be hosting an International World Series over the summer this year. So it's definitely a source of pride for us, and a source of economic development for the entire region.
One more question on it. We've got, you guys have added more baseball fields. Yeah. We've added the Pixis pickleball courts. We've got the Slimco amphitheater. I mean, shoot, Lauren Daigle came in, performed over there. That was incredible. What's the next 5 to 10 years look like for the sports complex? Yeah, so
recreation is always evolving. So we're going to continue to customize programming that our residents want to see. I think that we were on the right path and doing beach volleyball. That was one of the fastest growing NCAA sports. We have adult beach leagues out there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights that are just incredible to go watch as a participant if you're not playing in one of the leagues. Right now in the near term, I would say that we're really built out on the Youngsville Sports Complex as far as size. We'll continue, over years to build out the existing space. When we acquired the expansion area, it was another 46.5 acres. We still have room there to do another 2 high school and collegiate fields. We're in the process right now of irrigating and sprigging those grounds so they can be used as practice fields or just be incorporated as green space into the recreational programming. So there's nothing really imminent that's coming in the next year or two. Right now, we're really focused on infrastructure progress you can drive on, but we have the right framework in Parks and Rec to continue providing a great experience, not just today, but as our community continues to grow as well.
And you talk about infrastructure. Obviously, that's been a huge focal point for your administration. I mean, you've been managing over a $200 million project of 30 plus miles of city highways and streets from south of Riviera that's been under construction and moving along really well, and the Broussard-Youngsville connector, that's been really awesome. The widening of Highway 89, making things move a good bit more. So tell us about that.
It's all part of a coordinated effort to ensure that our growth isn't outpacing our infrastructure. Of course, road projects are inconvenient. Of course, not everyone has the benefit of sitting where I am and knowing that each project is part of a puzzle to ensure that we're growing responsibly and that we're staying ahead of the growth and knowing
there's never a great time for any of it.
There's never, one of the unfortunate things is
get it knocked out on a Sunday and blink.
Yeah, or over the summer. Right. It's a common question is why can't you do things at night or over the summer? Well, I don't think I have to convince anybody the summers are too short. Doing work exclusively at night drives the cost up, and then we wouldn't be able to do as much work as what we're doing now. But Robbie, if you drive from one end of our city to the other, there's significant amount of investment taking place in infrastructure, largely roads. I'll just speak to roads for a second. The Youngsville Highway widening is something that I'm exceptionally proud of. We all are. Taking an old antiquated highway, state highway of 2 lanes and expanding it as a major corridor of up to 5 lanes into Youngsville is something that is long overdue, and something that even though we're finishing the phase that we're on right now, taking it to Sable Palms, that project is going to be continuing all the way south to New News, to what we refer to as the clock roundabout. So that project's going to be ongoing for the next couple of years. You mentioned the partnership with Broussard on the Fairfield connector. That's it just puts a smile on my face when I see cars using it every day, because it's connecting two great communities. Broussard and Youngsville are doing another cooperative project of another roundabout at La Riviere and Young Streets. And all of these are, obviously cash is king. If you're paying cash for anything in life, you're probably going to pay a little bit cheaper. You can get it done quickly. But in government, just like our own personal finances, we don't necessarily just have that luxury. So we've been a benefactor of a lot of successful grant applications that have taken years to navigate the bureaucracy of. So grants, debt, leveraging debt responsibly for our growth has been a key component of it. Public-private partnerships, getting some of our developers to do some of that legwork for infrastructure on the front end. It's really been a myriad of funding components that's helping us to deliver infrastructure that's going to take our community through the next several decades.
Lots of really cool things going on. And I want to pivot a little bit. I think one of your biggest challenges and also your biggest accomplishments happened at the very beginning of your term, and drainage has been a pretty hot topic. We all got hit with Noah's Ark flood popping up, and then just learning how to navigate that. And your administration's taken a ton of steps through retention ponds and all that other stuff. So talk about that for folks that hear, and maybe preach a little bit about flooding, because it really hasn't happened.
Every storm is unique. Every time it rains, we learn something new, about, the way we're growing and developing. But the 2016 flood event, it was important to me and everyone on our team to ensure that event did not define us. What I wanted to define us was the resiliency of the community and what we've been able to learn from that flood event. After that 2016 flood, I went to our team. We had just adopted a 10-year master plan for our community, and I went to the architect of the plan, Ms. Pam Granger, who still serves as our lead project engineer. And I said, knowing what you know now from this rain event, what would you do differently in this master plan? She looked at me and she said, nothing. And it kind of surprised me there. And I said, well, how can you say that? And she said, well, we've identified the projects that are necessary in this master plan to ensure that we can do our best to minimize flood risk. So what that master plan enabled us to do was to accelerate funding opportunities for regional detention that we had identified in a plan, that we did some preliminary work for what the benefit for our community would be. And because we had the plan, we were able to seek out grant funding immediately and be successful in being awarded grant funding 100%. So that way that funding would enable us to drive projects that were going to benefit the community. So largely, there was three things we did after the flood event, and just to touch on the three very briefly. We got to work right away making sure the existing system was working as it was designed. There was years worth of deferred drainage maintenance that we're continuing to still do now on a routine schedule. I call it Drainage 365. Drainage isn't something that we're just focused on when there's a storm in the Gulf. We're worried about it 7 days a week when it's sunny and when we're in a drought. So make sure the existing system is working as designed. We were the first community in the area to raise development standards. The way that we were choosing to develop our community became more difficult from a development standpoint, because we wanted to ensure that new developments were able to hold larger storm events and not have a negative impact to the surrounding area. And then thirdly, we wanted a way to incorporate regional detention, to take everything that was built prior to the 2016 standard changes and incorporate larger drainage requirements for that pre-existing development as part of these regional efforts. What I'm proud of is that we were able to navigate the federal bureaucracy to get nearly $10 million of regional drainage projects delivered and built for our community. It was about 100 acres of largely floodway property. Floodway property,
it's basically useless.
It is.
So.
You can't build and develop on it. But we were able to make all the property acquisitions amicably, which was very important for me, for our community to see the importance and to have the buy-in. And I guess, one thing that's of interest is still today, approaching the 10-year anniversary of that flood event, we're the only community that I'm aware of that has successfully designed, built, and completed HMGP projects, which is Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program dollars. There was a litany of projects that were slated to get underway as a result of that appropriation from the feds, but our projects were the only ones that saw it to the finish line, and that's something that I'm very proud of. So, I guess in summary, what I would say about rain events and drainage is that it was important to not let that rain event define us, because we are in a much more we're in a much better position today than we were that morning of August, almost 10 years ago now.
It's crazy. You blink and it happens, and
Yeah.
you guys certainly haven't sat on your hands for any of that.
We have not, and it's something that I'm very prideful of our team. That we have a very proactive drainage team that's just incorporated it as part of their normal work, and it's our job to focus on those things and worry about those things so our residents don't have to. And I'm very prideful that we've been able to deliver on it, and we still have more work to do. I mean, you're never complete on it.
Speaking of more things to be proud of, I mean, we've had the police force over here double. You're the first in the area to have 24/7 paid firefighter that's outside of Lafayette. That's some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, it was. You can't grow. Every decision that really comes across my desk is largely, you can summarize it as how are we scaling this? With any community that's growing, look at any process, any component, and it's really largely about how do you scale it. So emergency services are no exception. Our police department, while it's under the leadership of an elected chief of police, our obligation is to ensure that they're funded properly for the size of community we are, and to help assist in making sure that we don't take our crime stats for granted, and that we continue proactive police programming to have our best foot forward. The fire department is something I'm very prideful of, because I've served on their board now. We've largely taken a group of volunteers and created a professional fire department within our community, and very excited about the growth of that agency. And we have to continue growing. None of this growth is final. We have land acquired for what will be our third fire station, and we're working through different funding mechanisms to actually get that next fire station built and into the community.
Very cool, man. So the real estate guy in me has to know we got lots of really cool projects from a residential and a commercial standpoint. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up.
Yeah, so from a commercial standpoint, the goal for us is to figure out a way that more of our residents can do more here within our community. Every time a new physician office opens, every time a new dentist, a professional office space opens, is a win for us, because that keeps more of our residents here closer to home to continue making investments here in our city. Same with food and beverage establishments. The more we're eating here, that fuels local jobs, it fuels sales tax revenue that we can continue to invest in infrastructure. So as a community, we have to do more and more closer to home. When I moved here, over 20 years ago now, it was customary that you had to leave the community to do a lot of the basic services that you needed. But now we can do them all here, close to home. From a business development standpoint, in the next probably 60 to 90 days, we're going to be rolling out, in conjunction with Louisiana Economic Development, several certified sites for Louisiana Economic Development. Those are critical for us because those help put our properties into the inventory for the economic developers across the state that are helping to attract jobs, talent here locally close to home. We have some prime property that's opening along Shimametary Parkway that's development ready, has water, has sewer, has a lot of the due diligence that's been already studied and established to make that decision making easier about where someone wants a decision maker, where they want to choose to do business. So
less band-aids to rip, right?
Exactly. Well, it kind of lessens that due diligence period. I mean, as you know, in real estate, I mean, time can sometimes kill deals, you know, inspection periods and things like that. So benefit of having development-ready properties is a lot of that legwork is already done, and we can help get it into the hands of decision makers quicker, and then ideally have property here that, you know, whether it's an industry, whether it's a trade, you name it. We've seen as a state recently, First Solar, we've seen, you know, Amazon delivery warehouses. There's a lot of opportunity there, and we have property that's in close proximity to Highway 90, the oil and energy corridor that many rely on to service, you know, the oil field, sector of our economy. So real excited about that coming out in the next 60 to 90 days. We also have some great developments coming up. You know, one that's under construction today is Park Bonan. Park Bonan is medical offices. The first phase is 9,000 square foot of medical offices. That's on Bonan Road. And it's being spearheaded by Auctioner. Real excited about that because that's going to be more healthcare close to home. We also have LOS that's under construction today of a therapy clinic, and then also an orthopedic urgent care here close to home. So we are laser focused on anything that we can do to make development in Youngsville easier, and to help sell the case about why Youngsville. And then of course we also have residential development that continues to fuel our growth here. And we have some really exciting projects that developers are going to be bringing to us, you know, over the next couple of years. Some great master plan communities that'll enable us to continue doing more and more here in our city. So very excited about it.
Love the growth. There's always more rooftops makes me a happy guy too, right?
That's it. You know, and you know, one of the factors that we're very diligent on is we want to have diversity in our housing options. So if you choose to move to Youngsville initially because you maybe had a affordable new construction house to start your family, I want to make sure that we also have inventory that can be your 30-year mortgage house as well. So some of our most recent developments that are coming up are offering product in that space. Le Jardin de Belle, as an example, is a great local builder community. Sable South has been another great phase. Southern Trails, right, you know, close to the office here, and there's others. But you know, local builders and what they've been able to help us here with is providing product that can be your lifetime home and not just the starter home that gets you in the door here.
Right. If you've got somebody that's kicking around and has been kicking around potentially moving to Youngsville, or somebody that's been here for 5 years, what can you tell them about where Youngsville's heading?
What I would tell someone that is on the fence about whether or not to move to Youngsville is that our foot is still on the accelerator, but know that we have a very responsible outlook on the manner in which we're growing. We are positioning ourselves to where we have adequate utilities, adequate road infrastructure, adequate first responder ability, and adequate parks and rec. I mean, everything is really being well thought out in part of a coordinated system of managed growth, to where no one will ever have to question or wonder if we're growing more faster than our infrastructure can provide. You know, it's a reasonable expectation, I think, for someone to say, well, you should have done this a decade before or a decade before. But I'm confident that we can do more than one thing at a time. We can grow responsibly, we can be focused on quality, and if someone's on the fence about moving to Youngsville, I would ask you to take a look again at the quality of our schools, the education system here, whether it's the LPSS public school system has excellent schools here that are all well rated with educators that care. Our charter school is producing phenomenal response. And then also on the private sector, we have Ascension Episcopal here, their upper campus, which does a phenomenal job of delivering a great education to our residents. So a lot of opportunities for families to excel, a lot of recreational programming taking place at the sports complex. Whether you're looking to get a bat in your 3-year-old's hand for the first time, or you're a senior wanting to stay active through senior programming, there's something there for everybody. So I would encourage you to come and take a look and come be part of the success that we call Youngsville.
Love it. So last but not least, so of the time that you've been leading Youngsville, this is kind of two-part, what's the one thing that you're most proud of, and what kind of keeps you up at night for the growth?
Yeah, what I'm most proudful of is being able to work with a great team of people that I've seen, that I've watched, that I've grown witness to being able to grow and develop in their role. Just to give you an example, as we're growing a water system, water treatment, watching our operator and our director really excel in that space is very rewarding and prideful for me. Watching our, workforce develop. I'm the guy that gets the credit and sometimes the blame as well. But it's really the men and women behind the scenes that are out there getting the work done. So, of course, all the infrastructure projects, I can geek out over. Youngsville Highway, I'm exceptionally proud of because it was such a complex project. From every facet, from it being a state highway, we didn't own the road, and I jokingly say we got it out of the death grip of DOTD and into hands of leadership here, so we could deliver progress quicker. I'm prideful of a lot of things here. Equally, of course, I'm sure there's things I would do differently as well. I'm sorry, the second question
was maybe one thing that's kind of keeps you up at night. Moving forward.
What keeps me up at night is really ensuring that that we're have a good grip on everything. I don't know if it's just the older I get or the more just making sure that that we're planning properly for the future. I know we are, I believe we are, but it's something that I continue to challenge our team, our consultants on, myself, and just making sure that we're delivering on all the facets that a responsible growing community should be. Having the public's trust is something that I certainly don't take lightly. When you are serving the public, you have an obligation and a responsibility to do the best job you can. In Louisiana, I think we've unfortunately, have had cases, not one in particular of, leadership that may not have been the most responsible at times. So I guess what keeps me up is just making sure that we're doing everything in our ability to be good stewards of our time here in leadership in the city.
Mayor Ritter, thanks so much for joining us, man. It was a pleasure to visit and see the future and all that of where Youngsville's going. And I know the residents of Youngsville and the business owners are certainly lucky for your leadership.
Well,
so thanks so much.
Thank you sincerely, and thank you for what you do for the realtors that are out there. I see you guys as an extension of our sales force, and you're out there on the front lines, knowing what makes residents choose a community to build their life. So thank you for helping us share the story to the public.
Love it.
So, thank you.
As always, for Lafayette Lifestyle, I'm Robbie Breaux. We'll see you next time.